Well, it's Tuesday, and you all know what that means. That means, as you know, we have MARIGOLD's latest event with day 2 of the Summer Gold Shine. Now, nothing too significant about this event, but however, as you know, we are doing outpost shows or preludes that leads to what we're going to see in Summer Destiny on the 13th of July. And then we move on with, of course, PPP Tokyo with their latest event, Vanquish Heaven and Feast in the Skies. So we're going to have some interesting matches coming from both, of course, the Yoshi wrestlers and the male wrestlers. So that's going to be a lot of fun. And then, of course, we cap up our episode. As you know, we are coming off from NXT Heatwave. The real question is, now we have a brand new NXT champion. Who will be the one to take crack? Or will Trick Williams, in fact, make his claim for a rematch? Well, we will see. But however, some interesting surprises took place, and I think many of you are going to be holy cow. And then, of course, we cap up our episode with some news updates to give you guys updates what's been happening in the world of pro wrestling, such as what events the promotions are thrown out, who's booked, what matches are set, including developments that are happening in the world of pro wrestling as we speak. So, let's get ready for another episode of Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Hey everyone, welcome to Deleted Wrestle Zone. All things that's pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, TNA, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J-Rod here. So, if you are new to the channel, welcome. This is a channel where we do a lot of pro wrestling reviews from various promotions, not only here in the United States, but also in Japan, Mexico, Canada, Europe, the UK, anywhere in the world where pro wrestling is not as big, but it continues to grow. We also do discussion videos. We talk about various topics, such as the wrestlers themselves, the promotions, factions, storylines, whatever we want to talk about. We also do more news updates. If I'm unable to put any information on this episode, we can put it on a separate video or on the next upcoming episode. We also do real-timing news updates to keep you guys on alert if something has happened in the world of pro wrestling that needs to be addressed ASAP. We also, of course, do the Nagi Sayaka Watch and various other cool things as well. So if you like what you see, please subscribe to us. So click on that subscribe button. You'll be getting a lot of daily reviews and other cool wrestling content as well. However, if you like this episode, please give us a like on the like button or a nice comment in the description down below. Now, all introductions have said, I believe it's time to go full speed ahead. Let's begin with our very first review, and I believe this one is day 2 of MARIGOLD's Summer Gold Shine. Okay. We continue with more of MARIGOLD's Summer Gold Shine. This is day 2 for all of you. Now, however, this show, in fact, happened on Sunday, July 7th. It wasn't uploaded until in the Wrestle Universe until now on July 9th. So this is a very interesting event. Now, as you know, we are getting closer and closer for this coming weekend for the Summer Destiny. I think many of you are excited for this one because, as you know, Suri will be facing against Guilia. We do have, of course, the crowning of the White Belt and the Superfly Championship. So we are still a little closer to that. But however, let's just focus on this particular event. Now, of course, Guilia comes out instead of the ring announcer. I don't know exactly what she said. I'm sure she's telling people that, of course, she's cleared to wrestle or whatever. But anyway, fans are always happy to see her. Now, our first match, we have, of course, the rookie Komomo Minami taking on Kyoki Amari. Now, as you know, Amari is part of the Twin Tower with Chikagoto. However, she's not involved in that tag match, but however, she will put, of course, Minami through the test, as you know, because we have seen a lot of the former Atlas girls are now, in fact, growing up completely, and they have now evolved even far more better as pro wrestlers than, of course, people to pretend to be wrestlers in the ring that we've seen in Atlas girls. But nonetheless, of course, Kyoki was able to pick up the win. She put like a somewhat, she power bomb, of course, Minami, and then she applied like a jackknife, but with the bridge. I don't know if that's effective, but it did the job, you know, for her to pick up the 3 count. So she picked up the win just like that. Now our next match, we have, of course, Myla Grace taking on Natsumi Shizuki. Now, don't forget Shizuki, as you know, she will be facing Misa Matsui for the Superfly belt this coming weekend. So we will pay attention to that. However, she will have to face against Myla Grace. Now, Myla Grace, nonetheless, she is a good wrestler. You know, she has picked up wins here and there since coming to Marigold. But however, it was Shizuki who picked up the win with a double dive knee drop onto her gut, and just like that, she picked up the win. Now, speaking of Shizuki, as you know, her opponent for the Superfly belt, Misa Matsui, gets in the ring to face against the future ace of Marigold, Victoria Yuzuki. Now, I think many fans would have thought, okay, if Yuzuki wins this match, that would put, of course, Matsui in a very disadvantage, because you know perfectly well that Shizuki and Matsui will definitely want to build momentum until they head to the Summer Destiny. However, I thought it was a pretty good match. I mean, Victoria Yuzuki did a fantastic job, but however, it was in fact, I was impressed by where Yuzuki actually did a judo throw 3 times in a row. I'm like, whoa, not bad. If you guys know, if you have any friends or you guys are judo experts, you guys know what I'm talking about. She just pulls them, and I'm like, dang, that's fantastic. I don't know if she had taken judo before, but it was awesome. But unfortunately, it didn't do any well, because of course it was Matsui that picked up the win with the Kato clutch bridge, the same kind of move we've seen Zack Sabre Jr. applied in the past. So that's how she picked up the win. So basically, the way I see it, both Matsui and Shizuki are now in good position to build up momentum for their upcoming match to crown the very first Superfly champion. Now, our next match is a very interesting tag match. We have Miku Ano teaming up with Bozilla, taking on Mirai and Utami Hayashishita. Now, many of you who know this, recently it seems things are not going very well for both Ano and Mirai. Now, as you know, 4 women were chosen to face off each other to take the challenge for the Marigold United National Championship, aka the white belt. So anyway, what happened is, apparently Miku Ano and of course Mirai were unable to advance each other. They ended up in a tie 3 times. So it's unprecedented. So most likely we will see a 3-way battle. So basically, we know that Ano and Mirai will clash. But however, the X factor is Bozilla. But however, Bozilla teams up with Ano, and they face both Mirai and Utami Hayashishita. Now, we know that Mirai, she is fearless. She's not afraid to face bigger individuals like Bozilla. I mean, we have seen Mirai challenge people like Megan Bayne in the past, but this is a different whole kind of breed, if you know what I'm talking about. But unfortunately, this match ended in a time limit draw of 20 minutes. And of course, I'm sure Miku Ano is telling Mirai that she's not going to be the first one to wear that belt. And I'm sure Bozilla thinks the same thing too, and so is Mirai. And of course, Utami Hayashishita, who has nothing to do with those 3, well, you probably can guess that her mindset is on, of course, IYO SKY. I'm doing this in the middle of the day on a Tuesday afternoon. Just great. Great. Okay. Now our main event, this is a very interesting one. We have Zeta Steel. She teams up with Chiaki and Nagisa Nozaki. They face against Nao Ishikawa, Mai Sakurai, and of course Nanane Takahashi. I have to say, seeing these three teaming up is fantastic. We know that Nanane took Ishikawa under her wing and learning a lot from her. And now it seems like Mai Sakurai is joining the party. You know, and I thought it was a very fun match. I mean, you probably would guess that this was going to be a very interesting development. But, however, it was Mai Sakurai that did an elbow drop onto Zeta Steel, allowing her and her team to pick up the win. So, I would like to see more of those three together more, you know. They seem like a fun group, but we'll see. Because we know that people have been talking about recently, if there's going to be a tag team titles, we know that Nanane Takahashi and, of course, Nao Ishikawa would definitely be one of the two that would challenge Twin Towers. So we'll see what happens until then. But as of right now, we'll things leave like that with MARIGOLD and move on with PPP Tokyo. Okay, PPP Tokyo with their much recent event that happened. It's called Vanquish Heaven, Feast in the Sky. This one was in Shinjuku FACE, and of course, it's a pretty good event. It opened up with, of course, a 6-woman tag match. We have team number 1, Makoto, Riara, and Natsu Surime. They take on Drake, Marika Kobashi, and Ryu Mizunami. Now, of course, there were some good moments you probably would expect. Of course, Riara applied the Paradise Lock onto Drake and all this and that. But, however, it was Natsu Surimi with a modified DDT onto Drake to pick up the win. I thought it was a pretty good match, you know, but was fun. Now, our next match, we have a bit of a 3-way match. We have coming all the way from Grapple Max, from Puzzle, Gaia Hawks versus Shota versus Endar Kara. If you guys don't know who Endar Kara, you may have seen him in Pro Wrestling Freedoms. He's also a foreign wrestler from, I believe, in Sweden, But anyway, the match was okay, but it was, of course, Gaia who pinned Shota. Just like that, it was over. Now, our next match, we have another Yoshi tag match. This time, we have Zones and Chanyota. They face against Ayame Sazamura from 2AW, and of course, Yuna Manase. So it's interesting to see this. Now, I was a bit of surprised how this match went. I mean, normally you would have assumed, because Yuna Manase does have experience as a wrestler, not to mention train some of the best Yoshi wrestlers that we know today. But however, this match ended in a 15-minute time limit draw. I did not expect this, but it was pretty good. And I have to say, I did like the combination with Zones and Chanyota, because they both show show their muscles and all that. We know that Chanyota has been losing some weight and building muscle, but nonetheless, I think it might have helped her. But we'll see how things will progress in the next show for her. Now, our next match, it's tag match. We have Kabuda Mitomi and Shuji Ishikawa taking on Kentaro Hashizu and Masato Tanaka. Not a match was pretty good. I have to say, it was pretty fun. But of course, Hashizu, he was the primary target, since he is less experienced. He has about the same year of experience as Chanyota, since they both trained together. But it was, of course, Ishikawa with a somewhat of a razor's edge power bomb that put away Hashizu in order to pick up the win. Now, the main event, it was a fantastic main event. A mixture of David versus Goliath. Joji Otani versus So Daimonji. If you guys know this, Otani, he is very short. Daimonji, he's a really tall wrestler. But damn, this match was unbelievably good. I wasn't too sure how this was going to end. I mean, they did everything to put each other away. But it was Daimonji with a backbreaker. It's just like that. Ugh, it was over. But in the post-match, Daimonji put on a promo. And then, of course, here comes Kentaro Hashizu. I don't know what he said to him. And then, of course, Ken Oka showed up with his cell phone, videotaping the whole thing. And, of course, Ender Kara showed up. Now, I have no idea what these guys were talking about in Japanese, but I wish I knew. But I'm sure they want a piece of Daimonji. I'm sure that's pretty much the case. But, of course, he gave praises to Otani, who really gave him a good match. So, I have to say, it ended pretty well. So I think we are done with, of course, PPP Tokyo. I believe it's time to move on to our last and final review, and that is NXT. Okay, NXT. As you know, we just come off from the Toronto show Heatwave. As you all know, we have a brand new NXT champion, Ethan Page, of course, smiling like a kid in heaven, saying what he said, saying that he's the one who's going to carry the NXT brand on his shoulder. But however, as you know, Ora Menza still has some issues towards him after what he did to Noam Dar and him. So of course, security was there. But however, Trick Williams wants a rematch. And then, of course, Sean Spears shows up, of course, and then Javon Evans. So this leads to, of course, like a bit of, oh, should they get another opportunity of the belt? Well, later on, we did see that they're going to be in a main event. Javon Evans and Trick Williams will team up, while Sean Spears and of course, Ethan Page will team up as well. So we'll get to that in a bit. Now, our first match, we have Carmen Petrovic taking on Ariana Grace. Now, remember, Petrovic teamed up with Ariana Grace in the in the pre-show of NXT Heatwave, and they won. However, of course, this was not going to work, so they put themselves in a match who was better. Well, this particular match ended with Petrovic doing a flying spinning kick, winning the match. But however, while she noticed after the match was over, she saw Daisy Jane and Jasmine Nix from there, and then she was viciously attacked from behind by Fallon Henley. As you know, this is a message to say all these new talent just get in the way of talents like them who've been there a lot more longer. But we'll see where that goes. Now, Brooks Jensen had a little nice conversation with Ava. Of course, there's been talk about maybe giving him a second chance and all that. So it seems things were like that. However, things got out a little chaotic a little later where we saw Brooks Jensen attacked Javon Evans, leading to the fact that Javon Evans was no longer allowed to participate in the main event with Trick Williams. And of course, Josh Briggs had to try to get reasons with them and this and that, so we don't know how things are going to go. But as for Trick, well, he had to find another partner, and we'll get to that. Now, our next match is for the NXT Heritage Cup. Now, recently, Lexis King, who likes to run his mouth, decided to challenge for this belt. But however, this match was pretty interesting. Now, the first round match, no one won. But second round, it was, in fact, Eddie Thorpe. Second round, in fact, it was D'Angelo with, of course, the Forget About It. But, of course, Eddie Thorpe shows up, started DJing, driving the nerves of Lexis King. Now, the third round, I believe, we had the coronation by King, allowing himself to win. So the match was 1-1. So how is this going to turn out? Well, fourth round didn't do any well because it just went up to 0. And then it was D'Angelo with the big spine buster, and just like that. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if King decides to go after Eddie Thorpe, claiming that it was his fault for ruining his moment. But we'll see what happens until then. Now, of course, as you know, in Heatwave, we did see, of course, Andre Chase and Duke Hudson disappointed that They did not win the tag team gold, but however, Rich Holland decided to make up for what he did, so he decided to talk to Ava and put Thea Hale for an opportunity for the NXT Women's title. And of course, the same thing with Duke. He said that next week he'll face against Obafemi. So basically, he was trying to do some good deeds for them. So that turned out very well. So we'll see where that goes. Now, our next match, we have Gallus, more specifically Wolfgang and Mark Coffey, but of course they were viciously attacked from behind with DuPont and Igwe. Now, of course, they have been punking each other because we haven't forgotten that it was Gallus that attacked DuPont and Igwe a few weeks back, but now this is payback. But however, Gallus had the upper hand because they were able to pick up the win because they are very cohesion of what they were going to do. Now, Wesley, as you know, came up extremely short against Obafemi. So he was about to do a promo until, he was going to say that he was going to leave NXT altogether. Fans were telling no, but out of nowhere, Ghost from his past, or should I say, his past has come back to see him. We have, of course, Zachary Wentz, who we know him formerly as Nash Carter, along with Trey Miguel. So basically, they're telling him, "What are you doing, man? Why are you going your way to say you're leaving? We don't want you to go. These fans don't want you to go." So they're trying to convince him. So they said, "Let's reunite MSK, or better yet, the Rascals." So yes, so it was a very crowning moment, and of course, we did see the Rascals in the back having a joint, saying hi to each other, talking until they bump into Gallus. And of course, they ask about this, and then he said, "When it's me and of course Zach, we are MSK, but it's just the three of us. We are the Rascals." Of course, Gallus were not pleased with the fact that TNA talent were here, and they're like, "Not that Scott." They were about to say Joe Hendry's name, like, "Don't say his name." So that was one of the most funniest moments ever. But yes. Now, of course, as you know, with Javon Evans hurt, Sarah went to have a little chat with Ethan Page and Sean Spears about, do they believe that Trick Williams will find a partner, and they don't believe. So that was the whole story. They don't believe he will. Now, our next match, we have Thea Hale versus Izzy Dame. The match was okay, but however, Izzy Dame had to deal with one particular problem, and that is, of course, Tatum Paxley. So Paxley was there watching. Carmen took her eye off the ball, but it was, of course, Thea Hale with the Kimura lock putting away Izzy Dame, and just like that, it was over. Of course, Thea Hale won a good match, putting, of course, Chase U on the conversation again. However, Obafemi, as you know, saying the same old routine that Duke Hudson is not going to win. But Hudson's like, "Look, we heard you say this thing before. We don't need to hear it again." So basically, we'll see what happens next week. Now, our next match, these guys have been beefing up with each other the entire time. OTM versus the OC. Now, of course, we did not see Meacham. Now, she did show up a little later and attack Jada Parker. But, of course, there were some dirty tactics that came from both sides. Of course, Luke Gallows was attempting to take off Lima's mask, and then of course Carl Anderson was kicked from behind, but however, it was of course Lima that picked up the win onto Anderson. But you can tell that this is a big upset that they were pinned. But however, this war between them is far, far from over. Now, Fallon Henley, as you know, she is sick and tired of rookie wrestlers taking on the spotlight. As you know, she felt that the Women's North American Championship should have been on with her, but no. And of course, Soruka, as you know, saw this, and of course, she knows that the better woman won, but she has to be in her top game, so she ended up in a match against Fallon Henley. But of course, that match was pretty good. But however, this match could have won by Soruka when she applied the Soul Snatcher, but it ended in a no contest due to the arrival of Jay-Z Jane and, of course, Jasmine Nix. So they're putting the rookies on notice because they felt like their spotlight is being taken. But we'll see where that goes. Now, once again, NXT Anonymous showed up and decided to, of course, shows something very interesting. Tatum Paxley talking to a doll of Izzy Dame and all that. Then we saw Wendy Chu showed up. I don't know what's the deal, but it's gonna be interesting. Now, it's been now official. We saw Ava Reigns had a little chat with someone from NXT Past, Cedric Alexander, so he is back. So we will see what happens from here on out. Now, our main event, we have Shawn Spears and Ethan Page taking on Trick Williams. But the real question is, who was his partner? Well, this guy had the biggest pop. Booker T acts like, that he has no clue what's going on. He feels like, why are these people cheering for him? Like, he thinks like, why? And it was none other than, say his name and he appears. I believe in Joe Hendry. I believe in Joe Hendry. Yes, everybody were singing the song, raising Booker T going out of his mind, with his head up his butt, not knowing what's going on. He feels like, why are these people cheering? But, Vic, as you know, you gotta believe. And that's exactly. Now, you would think this match was going to be interesting. It kind of did, because Joe Hendry did say, I'll show up anytime, any given place, at any show. And that's what happened. But, however, this match took a little twist of turn. Ethan Page, he thought, got rid of Oro Mensah, but he showed up and attacked him. But this match was left between both Hendry and Shawn Spears. Now, he did get a little assist from Trick on the outside of the ring, but it was the standing ovation by Joe Hendry that allowed him to pick up the win for he and his team. So I'm sure we will see Trick Williams make his way back to the title hunt, but the real question is when. So what's next for Joe Hendry? Well, we do know he will be at Slammiversary in hopes to become the TNA World Champion. But that's another conversation for another time. So let's just move on from here. We are done officially with our reviews. So let's move on with some news updates. So welcome to our news updates. So let's begin with, of course, with upcoming events from the promotions. Now, Pro Wrestling Noah has announced something interesting for their July 28th event in Kanazawa. We have a very surprise appearance from New Japan's talent, and that is, of course, one of the most popular junior heavyweight competitors. We're talking about the Time Bomb, Hiromu Takahashi. Yep, so he will be making his Noah appearance. I don't know if this is a debut or what, but yes, so this would be interesting. Now, for all you know, as you all know, we have the upcoming Bloodsport event on July 28th in Brooklyn. This one is a very interesting match. Many of you guys will probably be invested in. We have Shayna Baszler taking on the Pink Striker, Miyu Yamashita. So that's gonna be a lot of fun. So I'm sure many of you guys are invested in that. Now, Deadlock Pro Wrestling has announced a brand new show that will come out on the 18th of August in Pasadena, Texas. We have, of course, called High Moon. So no announcement's been announced who will participate, but hopefully as we go along, we will get more. Now, NXT also announced for another PLE, a premium live event. This one is going to take place on September 1st in Denver, Colorado, and this one is called No Mercy. So we'll see what happens until then. So I think we are done, of course, with the updates with the promotions. Let's talk about certain developments. NWA has announced that they actually gave an exclusive contract with Eric Smalls. I don't know much about him, but it's great that they are now signing some talent. And good news for all Giulia fans. You may have heard that Giulia is now medically cleared, so she is ready to go to face against Sari and hopefully make her way to, of course, to WWE, because many of our fans are expecting she'll be the one to dethrone Roxanne Perez. Now, an interesting development has happened. As you know, on July 13th, we do have, of course, for MARIGOLD for the Summer Destiny event, there was a poll about who will most likely win to become the inaugural Superfly champion. Will it be Natsumi Shozuki or Misa Matsui? Now, when I was looking at this, I was a bit of surprised how how it was going. This is what I saw. Misa Matsui has a 51%. People voted for Misa Matsui for 51%, and of course Shizuki 49%. So basically, majority of it are saying it's Misa Matsui. So they're cutting it close. So we'll see where that goes. Now, of course, Utami Hayashishita has now been talking recently about her matches with her upcoming match with IYO SKY, how she's been preparing. So she's looking forward to it. She even recalled about, of course, when she was working at the, I think she said the merch stand. This is what she says. I was at training helping out the concession stand, and I asked the staff if I could watch this one match. So I watched IYO's match from the south side. I won't forget how I was moved to see IYO fly from the stands. And that's pretty cool, you know, that she actually learned about that. So that's great. Of course, you know, she talks about the possibilities, maybe one day seeing MARIGOLD come to the States. I mean, that is a good possibility. I'm sure many fans would like to see that. Now, Dijak recently spoke about, of course, through Heel Heat about, as you guys remember, the whole what was it? The Retribution faction that he was in, about who was going to be the leader. Now, he did stated that Mustafa Ali was not one of those names, but there were others. But of course, later when they said it was Mustafa Ali, it was like, oh, you know, I think Dijak may not have liked that, but it is what it is. So now, Dave Meltzer went on to talk about Damon Kemp. He asked around about the whole thing about him. You know, about him being gone from no longer being with the company. Everybody else said they were surprised. Oh yeah, and I forgot to mention this. I didn't do this on the review for NXT. My bad, guys. My bad. There was a scene, of course, with Charlie Dempsey, Tavion Heights, and Miles Bourne putting someone in the trunk of a car. And, of course, Tavion said actions got consequences. And, of course, Tavion Heights asked, do we do this type of thing? And, of course, when they were leaving, they saw Ren Sinclair says, I did not see anything. So, looks like they have written off Damon Kemp. So, it would make absolute sense. Yeah, so sorry about that part, so guys. I forgot. I didn't even put it on my notes. But yes, so anyway, I think that's pretty much it what we have. So let's just call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode. Coming up, as you know, we have AEW Dynamite that will be in Calgary as we jump into the finals for both the men's and the women's Owen Hart Foundation tournament. So the real question, who will walk out? Will it be Will Nightingale or Mariah May? Or will it be Bryan Danielson or Hangman Adam Page? That's going to be a very interesting thing to watch. So we will see what happens until then. Now, I haven't decided yet if I will be doing another review, but we just will see from here on out. So as of right now, we'll just leave things as it is. And I will see you guys in the next DWZ time. Same DWZ channel. I'm going to bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye. And have a nice day.